We like boring businesses that have been established for a very long time, has a good track record of profit, has gone through the GFC, COVID, and so on. Most people have never been asked, when you buy a business, what profit margin do you want? They're like, I don't know. What's good? I just want to have money at the end of the day and more than what property might give or what shares might give. I just want that. If you look around at the really successful, wealthy people, a lot of them didn't use their own money to start up businesses. Buying businesses is not for everyone, but when you do buy the right business, it's worth it.
Welcome to the DevReady podcast, where we're helping non-techs build great tech. Today we'll be a little bit about pivot, a conversation more about business, and should we start a tech startup in the first place, or might we go and acquire a business? Today joined by Olivia, one of the founders of WT Acquisitions and also WT Investments. The acquisition side is mostly focused on anyone that's looking to acquire a business with little money out of pocket. And no, if you can, make that work. But it's always good to have a bit of money in the back of hand to help the process, I'm imagining. Olivia, thank you for joining us and coming on the DevReady podcast.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Let's talk about you first, because I love to just share the audience who Olivia is and a bit of your background and how you ended up in WT Acquisitions and then Investments, which is your own little arm as well.
Yeah. Well, before WT Acquisitions and WT Investments existed, I was 20 years in corporate. So in the banking world, I did a little bit of analytics here and there, a little bit of product management. So I understood the P&L, and then decided to change to transformation delivery. So project manager related roles. And I was in the middle of all that thinking, is there more to life than this?
Not the first person in corporate that's had that conversation or thought. You hear that quite a bit.
Yeah. And you just think, what can I do that just makes me light up, makes me more passionate? Just something I can give back and do. So in the middle of all of that stuff, while I was working those jobs at night, I was playing around with AI. Like as you do.
Yeah, as most people have been doing these days. Yeah, as you do. Yeah, there's so much to learn.
Like you see all these other people talking about it, and you're like, you know what? I'll just give it a go and just see. Especially with everything that's happening at the moment in the corporate world, or the AI stepping in, you might as well jump in and see what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because there's so much happening and noise, especially in corporate. A lot of the cutbacks are being thrown around, and there's a bit of that going on, and reasoning AI. There might be more reasoning than that. But yeah, there's a lot of that happening in the space now. So being aware of what's going on is quite pivotal to success moving forward. We need to be on top of it.
Yeah. So some of the ones I played around with to create an app, I thought, well, why don't I just create a game for the kids? So I've got 3 girls now. Back then when I did it, they were younger, but I used AI and created a game. I thought, well, let's just create this game called Lemonade Empire. And it was just to teach the girls how to do a virtual lemonade stand. So how much to sell things and price of ingredients and so on. So I thought, on top of a crazy project in the work that I had to do, went live, on top of being a working mum of 3 kids to look after, at night I was vibe coding. I didn't even know what that was.
No one knew what it was at the beginning. It became a term that got thrown around the internet. So there's a lot of people out there doing it.
Yeah. So I thought, vibe coding, that sounds cool. And I only knew that after I created the app, when someone said, how's it been vibe coding? And I had to look it up. So I managed to create the first version of the app using AI called Replit and Rock. I remember creating that first version before it becomes the Apple loaded on the Apple Store. And I showed my girls it, and they played it a little bit, and they said, how can I give this to my friend? And I went, Mummy will figure it out. Mum will figure it out. Which I did, on top of all the full-time work and stuff. I did it at night, and it was out within 10 days. So I went, wow. Can you imagine? AI's actually opened up the opportunity for more.
It's opened up possibility. Yeah, it has. It's up a possibility for more creativity, more thinking, others to get non-technical people to get prototypes, get early stage things out. It's interesting what's changed. We're supporting a number of people in the core business around taking a bit of their vibe coded apps and really bringing them to full-fledged security and getting them to the last mile of a proper product and go into market. Not saying you need to do that for all products, but the bigger they are, the more complex they get. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a very different space than it was 12 months ago, even 6 months ago. Yeah, so it's changing very quickly. Yeah.
Totally agree. So when I managed to after 10 days upload it to the Apple Store, it did take a long time near the end. It gets a bit tricky.
It takes a very long time sometimes, yeah. Even get accepted on the App Store to be able to put your app out there. People muck it around for months. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, yeah. Frustrating.
I know. So that's where the next idea when I was thinking about doing that, and which I've already, that's how I reached out to you, Andrew. Someone recommended we reach out to you, and we obviously signed an NDA, so we can't talk too much about it. But cryptically, it's a game to help kids learn, learn certain things like life skills and other things that they won't really realize that they're learning, but we want them to learn it for the future. So it's that sort of stuff, and that idea, I think when we were talking around to other people, a lot of them got really excited. Some of our mentors and advisors said, "Oh, you need to keep this on the down low," but you've got through, you know about it, and I just went, I might know how to play around with AI and do this, but there is no way I could do it myself. So hence, we reached out to your team.
Yeah, no, like I said, little stuff is doable. Even some bigger stuff, you're willing to spend a lot of time. You can get to a reasonable place. And when you have to think strategically around a solution, it takes time. You've got a good product background, which is actually a great place to begin vibe coding because you understand product a little bit, you understand flows, journeys. Once you do that, you're miles ahead of everyone else. So you're seeing product owners able to do more with the support of AI, which is changing the game. They don't need an engineer to visualize or prove a concept, or at least communicate a concept. So that's where the massive value is, because picture paints 1,000 words, as we'll say. Even if you just build a quick mocked UI prototype, it gets so much more than documenting out features and functions and user stories and all the past things we used to do. Still has a place, but it's probably a different step. You're doing more visual first, then you're getting to that to ensure you're delivering the proper outcome. So it's changing the landscape of how we do things. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess while we were on that journey and talking about, what we wanted to build together and how much effort it would be and so on, I think a lot of people that have a great idea that, are probably working corporate and have this great idea, some pain point that they want to do, and they just went, oh, I don't know how to do it. That's how you figure it out. You just use a little bit of AI, give it a go, jump in. When you get stuck, reach out to other people, and other people like DevReady or other developers and so on. It gives you that, rather than say, oh, it can't happen or it's too hard, talking to other people actually helps. And the people that have actually,
It opens up the possibility. It does. Yeah. You need to have conversations. And I think from product ideas, concepts, there's many of them floating around. They're everywhere. And everyone's got an insight or a problem. In corporate, there's lots of gold sitting in a corporate environment around just improving process internally in those businesses that they'll never do, or a product that could support an industry. So I've seen that many times where people come out of corporate, produce a quality product that then serves the businesses that they were from. So there's definitely opportunities that really jump out. It's a lot easier now than it was 6 months ago, that's for sure, to get the first step going.
absolutely. And just looping back to what I do now. So when we were thinking about all these ideas of and apps and the tech startup, and I was getting excited, I said, I never knew I'd be a non-tech person working in a tech startup or starting my own tech startup. In addition to that, ironically, I started up the WT acquisitions and WT investments companies. The WT acquisitions one was to help people buy businesses for as little of their money as possible, using other people's money or other ways to fund it. And WT Investments is where we personally spend our time buying businesses too, because what we started to realize with the tech startup idea is it does cost money, to pay other people to do that.
It's a lot of sunk cost and a lot of risk early days. And I've seen it. I've been around this business for 18 years. We started this business in 2008. And you've seen so many failures, learnings across the journey of others and how they've approached things. And the podcast was started because of that. So in 2019, we started the podcast just before COVID kicked in. We did a couple of episodes because we had, in the space of, it was a couple of week period, we had 5 founders come to us and spent about, we summed up a bit over $1 million Aussie, just capital that they've burnt, lost, and couldn't recoup, had no path to recouping either. So started the podcast just to share stories around what works, what didn't, what you found was a quicker path, maybe what's a hack we could do in the space. And that's what began it. So yeah, it will continue that way, but sharing stories, like I said earlier, connecting, talking to others, it's important. We can all learn from each other, and it's cost a lot of money, that's for sure. If we're going to do it, we've got to be smart about how we do it, right?
Totally agree. And I think with tech startups, it's innovation, right? Innovation does cost money to do. And I guess that's the light bulb moment it's probably the second light bulb moment we had after knowing that we could build this tech startup not being technical, was in order to get money, why not buy businesses that are already established? So cash flowing.
It's a great idea. We've acquired a little business ourselves in the space, which is a technical product. It's bariatric surgery management tool for bariatric surgeries. It's been an interesting process. It sort of landed on our lap, not we were hunting. It was a client that came to us that was looking to probably exit that business and figure out a way. His plan was, how do I deploy this across all the clients and maybe give them a code, sell it to them and let it go? And I thought, here's an opportunity. So explored it, looked at it and acquired it for very little at the time, which was a good place to begin a different journey. But that's taught me that you need people to manage it, run it, because you can only spread so thin too. So I'd love to hear about your investment side and how you structure it up, because we can only do so much too. So to have a business that acquires businesses, those businesses have to be operating or have their own GMs, or because there's no real way to manage multiple businesses and do it really well and give them the energy. So
Yeah, if you're working.
yeah, if you're working in it, it becomes difficult.
There's only so many businesses that you could be part of and manage and run. So
Before it becomes too difficult. Yeah, it's not impossible, and you just spread too thin and nothing gets done well.
yeah, absolutely. I think the advantage that myself and my partner Ian have in WT Investments is one of our other businesses that we have. I won't say the name of it, but one of the other businesses is around executive recruitment. So when we do buy businesses, in order to avoid having to be part of that business and run just one business at a time, and it kind of stops you from scaling and buying more businesses.
It limits if that's your model. Yeah, it will. It's impossible. You can't buy 10 and run 10 and lead them, and strategically it's impossible.
The only way you can do that is by hiring the right people to run the businesses. So as long as you buy well-established businesses that are earning a considerable amount in profit, you can use some of that profit to hire people, an MD or someone senior, to run that business for you. And then you're at the top as an investor, just looking at dashboards.
Got it.
By the way, do you build dashboards?
Yeah, we build lots of dashboards. Just we're revisiting our own core business. It's sort of grown quickly. There's about 50, 60 across contractors of people. And it's created challenges because the business is set up for 20 to 30. And when you double capacity quickly, you got gaps in process that pop up. So now we're building more dashboards and pieces around that again to level it up again. I find every time you scale, there's always something that's not right and you got to rejig and then you go again. So that's the joys of building a business. But that's, yeah, I think everyone goes through those pains as you grow, growing pains as they call them. Yeah.
I love like back in the day, I think it was early 2004. So after 2004, 2005, after I finished my uni degree, and funnily enough, my uni degree was computer science, and I still don't consider myself technical.
You don't know nothing about coding. You would be developing a computer science degree. I did a com science degree, but not like I develop these days. But yeah, I did one.
I did not enjoy coding, but I loved databases and SQL.
Yeah, it's a big data piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing that and understanding the data and it making a difference. So I remember business intelligence.
Yeah, the insights from it, of course.
Yeah, the insights from it. So looking at data, turning that into insights, business decisions that can be made, and that's how I got into all the product related stuff. So you understand things from the data or the dashboards. You can see where there's opportunity, and I guess why I was in the product management side for so long and understanding the P&L was there were always little drivers and things you could look at in any business to go, well, if I change that, then that will make more revenue. Or if I reduce that, that will reduce the expenses. And ultimately, it's just profit. You're just trying to figure out, okay, how can I do that
You're trying to build profit. Yes.
with another layer on top of, is the customer happy? Is this giving the customer what they want?
Yeah, there needs to be value driven at the other end. Otherwise, it's never going to be sustainable, right? Yeah.
That's right. They won't come back.
Exactly. And just burning and always chasing new customers. Chasing new customers is very costly. You want to keep customers around, look after and do a really good job, and be consistent in that and get better all the time at that too, because it's can't stay still either. Customers' expectations are always how to getting more and more. So how do you keep evolving what you're delivering? Because that's critical to keeping the relationship growing as well. They want to see you innovating too, I feel. Let's play a game, Olivia. Startup versus acquisition. There's pros and cons. There's generally, I do a lot of profiling. One of the ones I profile against is wealth dynamics, which tells you a little bit about who you are in terms of what might be good for you. There's a like 8-quadrant thing. I sit in a creator star, crossing over a bit of mechanic. What that means is fine to have a conversation, good to connect, but then also from a creator perspective, I can start things but not finish them. So it's interesting. Great for startups in that world. Very interesting. There's a bunch of lords and even supporters. There's all these different areas. Lords run process really, really well. So they're good at sticking to process. There's trader components, which are maybe good for buying and selling, acquisition models, similar to what you're talking about investment side. And then supporters that are great for building team and culture. So I find that quite interesting. And then I learnt this 3 years ago, but I landed in startup-y type creating my own stuff, and I didn't know why, but I love it. So I landed in the right spot. So I always get people to do that, especially if you're going into startup. Where do you sit? What does it relate to? What type of person are you in a startup if you're going there? Or an acquisition side? So just something I found interesting that people might, I don't think I've shared on the podcast, but yeah, people might get some value out of it before they jump into something, to know what they're good at, what they're not, what makes sense.
If the question is, do I think I'm in startup or more of a acquisition person?
Yeah, what do you believe?
Can't I be both? Can't I be both?
Oh, that's interesting conundrum there. So which direction are we going to pull in?
Yeah.
I ask that question myself all the time because we've got a lot of little components and products that we're running and operating and involved in supporting many startups, invested in quite a few. And can you be both? I think yes, but it goes back to your point. You need the right people to help. Otherwise, you can't be both. Yeah. If you don't have the right people around you, it's impossible. That's my take over the years. Yeah, because I find that it's difficult.
Yeah, because I do enjoy the part of acquisitions where we're looking at possible businesses for sale and the founders that are thinking of selling, and then visiting them in person, talking to their staff. So the other day we actually met one because we're in the middle of due diligence for one of them. And met them, spent a lot of time asking questions. That's kind of fun because you start to ask these questions and go, "Oh, that's interesting. That might be a risk, or that's an opportunity, or so on." So that part's quite fun. And then talking to the people in the company.
The unpacking, uncovering.
Yeah, uncovering. And just trying to go, is this, at the end of the day, is this something I should still buy? Is this a business I should still buy based on how do I mitigate that and so on? And that's something I learned back in corporate, risk mitigation. Yeah. And so, but then the startup side, it excites me. It excites.
Yeah, okay. Lights you up a little bit. Yeah, that's why people get sucked into the startup world. It excites them, lights them up.
It so does until you run out of money and then got to go back.
It's one of the challenges many people have. Yeah, the resourcing is tough, but you got to be resourceful in the time of running out of money.
That's right.
And really tight when you actually, if you bring money in, how tight can you be without not being too tight to limit the business? I find some people get a little bit carried away with the money they bring in and it's gone before they know it and they've got no return for it. And that's hard to go back to the well and keep pushing when there's nothing coming out the other end. So I find that is interesting as well.
What I have noticed though, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, is more and more people. So ironically, the WT investments and mainly the WT acquisitions business is a startup. It's buying businesses, but it's a startup to buy businesses. And when we started that,
Yeah, you would have started with zero
yeah.
conceptually an idea. Doesn't have to be tech to be a startup. Yeah, at all.
But the funny thing is, not all startups. Well, startups it can be tech, but to build a startup and start the website, how do you tell customers that you're there? To come to you, what you do, and so on. So when we had to build the WTacquisitions.com website, we did ask a few people, how much does it cost, blah, 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 to build the website. And some of the people we were talking to were taking a little bit too long, and then they told us the price. And I went, and I remember one of my advisors was saying, why don't you you've already built the Lemonade Empire app using AI. Why don't you try and use this other app for Base 44?
Yeah, you could vibe code that for sure.
Yeah, so I tried another one, Base 44, and I managed to create the website. It's got a payment portal and stuff. I'm not even technical. I'm still saying it.
Yeah.
Managed to do that part. So, but there's obviously other parts that I'd rather be spending my time adding value and looking for the right business to buy. So at some point, there'll be things where I'm like, no, I'm going to pay someone else to do that because my time is worth the value I can add with my time is worth more than even though it's fun, vibe coding.
Yeah, we have to make those decisions at some point. Where is the value in the business? Especially early stage we start, we've got to do everything. Wear many hats. And I think the people that grow in a business, startup, whatever it might be, learn to let go of hats at the right time. But you got to get the business to a point so you can let go of hats. It's a challenge, but you're always just reducing hats, and eventually you shouldn't be wearing too many. Hopefully, that's the bigger picture. If not one, own one.
But in the startups, though, when you start, most people wear many hats because
everything, your marketing, your product, your testing, your just customer research, you're doing everything. Speaking to the customer, if you're going down that tech startup space, you have to be doing everything. And the founders are also selling. So that covers the entire business almost operation, right? And founders are generally the best people to sell, especially the early stages of product and business, because they've got the depth and breadth and understand, because they're doing everything or a part of everything. They understand if customer asks for this, this, and this, yeah, that could work here and actually implement product that can make sense. But if someone else is out there, no, this is what we do, and they can't really join the dots, which limits the business in early stage startup. So that's one of the learnings I found. Founders' core driver in any business is selling, or maybe it's that acquiring or that research piece, but you got to have to track leads, right? So for you, it's a lead is a business that's looking to sell. How do you attract them? And then you're communicating with them, and then there's a negotiation, right? So that's the selling proposition. So you have to know how to sell and connect and know what they need or want, desire, and unpack that is sometimes a bit of a game of cat and mouse. I imagine it would be in acquisitions. I've heard different stories around people get to an outcome, but then that's not really what they wanted. And yeah, I'm sure you've had many of those as well.
Look, I think what we've learned, we've looked at over 100 businesses for sale already, and a lot of them, from right from the beginning. Once you look at the information memorandum and talk to the broker or the owner, you just know, no, it's not. It's too risky. It's not something that we want to do. But where the most important thing is finding the right businesses that give you that sort of cash flow, that positive cash flow. And because we've looked at so many, that's what we love helping people with. I had a call just yesterday. There was a lady that had called me and said, "Hey, I just looked at this other one online, and this is what I found." I won't say which industry it's in because it's not all the same. But she mentioned. I said, "Oh, so what's the revenue? How much do those the staff get paid? How much, all of that stuff?" And then just gradually stepping her through to realize,
Understanding the process.
yeah,
Yeah.
to realize do that for herself, but just gradually stepping her through. This is not this is not a good deal. This is not a good deal. It's because they went from a very high asking amount, to halving it, and she still thought it was a good deal, but it wasn't.
Yeah, fascinating. So just overreaching. Yeah, I think, and that's interesting around the valuation of if you're going to acquire. What is the process to assess? Because yes, we can see a bottom line, we can see costs. I think you must understand the industry, the market as well. I think every industry is different depending on multiples. What's if people are going to go to that journey? What's some things that they need to be aware of? Because overpaying for a business can cripple you too, because you may never recoup that without significant growth on the other end in revenue. So yeah, how do you manage that piece and make sure you get a good deal at the other end of the day?
There's a whole bunch of things that I'll just name the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Having the right sort of advisors that are familiar with that industry. If you're buying in an industry that you're not familiar with, they'll be able to tell you quite quickly that if it's a good deal or not, or things to keep an eye out. So we ourselves have advisors that are more experienced than us. So definitely that. Even in from a DevReady tech startup sense, talking to people that have already been there helps. It actually helps you go, oh, this is a great idea, but how many people are interested in it? Oh, I don't know, right? So that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah, you need to figure that out before you go and throw money at something, because that's where most of the time money in anything is, it needs to be in any project. So it's a property project, it's a acquisition. I'm imagining it's a startup. We have to do the DD upfront. At least get to a point where there's a path or a direction. And startup DD is different to acquisition DD. It's a very different thing, right? So it's really more around understanding customers, what they really need, what the problem is. Is it the burning desire problem, or is it something nice to have that is going to be a slow challenge to sell? What's the value prop? Really getting detail from customers, getting feedback early on. One of the things is, in startup space, I question founders that don't like to talk about their idea too much. It will limit you. It will put you at more risk. So the higher you don't want to talk about your idea, the more risk you have. The reality is, in the world we're in, there's many billions of people out there, and maybe millions or hundreds of thousands just in your category that are looking at things, or it's 50,000. That's a lot of people that are out there that are considering this or got similar ideas at similar times. In the end, I found that the best value you get is from the conversations you have with many people, which open up doors, which open up investment opportunities. We give you that little nugget that says, is this the right angle to take, or should I slow down a little bit? So it goes back to conversations with people across just acquiring businesses. I take it to startups too. The more conversations you have, there is a fear that we might lose an idea to somebody. I haven't seen it happen before. If anything, I've seen the conversations open up more doors than not having them. So that's just a bit of a takeaway from me around what startups like. DD is conversation. That's the beginning. It's the connecting. It's the getting feedback. It's the putting yourself out there as quick as possible, because it enables you not to invest in tech too much. It enables you to de-risk from that lens. But acquisition's different. It's unpacking. I'm imagining looking at the business, looking at the industry, similar but different. But you got a baseline. Yeah, you've got a revenue. You got some, hopefully you got some profit. Otherwise, why are we buying this thing? Unless it's a revenue uplift opportunity at a bigger level. So it just depends on what you're trying to achieve, I imagine, in terms of when you're stepping into that.
I guess one of the biggest tips that we've given some of our the people that call us up, even before they become our clients, is if you if you're looking at a business that's for sale and you find out that it's the owner that's doing everything, the sales, the marketing, the invoices, you're in big trouble. That's a big risk. I wouldn't like. What do you do when you buy that business and the owner steps out?
You go in there and you have to figure it all out. You got that's all.
Don't even buy it. You're buying a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. Yeah, you want a management team, I'm imagining, in place. So, what type of businesses are you targeting? Size, revenue? Just give people a context, because is it that end or is it industry specific, or what does it look at? Profit?
It's a whole bunch of things at the moment that we're looking at. So we like boring businesses, and some people might have seen reels where they peeps and people talk about buying boring businesses. We like boring businesses that have been established for a very long time, has a good track record of profit, has gone through the GFC, COVID, and so on. So there are some that we're looking at the moment that have gone through all of that and not likely to be disrupted, funnily enough, by AI. So those are the ones that we're
Yeah, okay. So, very boring businesses.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Got it. So, take the tech hat off, less tech, I'm imagining. Yeah.
Funnily enough, it's less tech businesses, so the older established ones. But as we go into the businesses, we remind ourselves we've got all these little things that we remember as a checklist. Go, oh, we can AI that. We marketing part. There's automate that. Systems here. All of that. Dashboards. They're for those established businesses, especially where baby boomers. It's like they've worked on their business for 20 plus years, and they're at the stage where they're in their 60s and more, and they just went, I'm done. My kids don't want it. They just want the money. I'm done. So we do talk to a few people like that that do want to sell, but sell to the right people. So when people that have founded a business or had a business for 20 years, it's like an adoption service. So they're selling. It's like they're giving their baby away, and they want to make sure they give their child away to the right person to look after them, because behind that is our families.
There's people's, all the blood, sweat, and tears behind it. Yeah, it's all the memories. It's generally your best years of your life you've given to that business, really. So it is an upbringing. Yeah, definitely is, and it's watching it grow is the thrill of it all. And watching it, being able to let go is also the component of it all. But not everyone gets there to be able to just step out and be the investor. That's something that people get a bit stuck in. It's probably talk to that, because you need that. What do you find? What's the critical things? You mentioned people getting the right recruitment component in to maybe let go of some profit, but so you don't have to be in it, because that's definitely an option if someone doesn't want to exit. If they're willing to let go, because sometimes they're not either. So it's an interesting one.
Yes, it is difficult. For those ones, if they're not ready, it's a mindset thing too. If they're not ready,
I think it's all a mindset thing sometimes. Yeah, yeah. We're limited by this thing up here sometimes. Yeah,
they just need to walk through that process where they're ready. And definitely there are some people in their 60s, even 70s, that aren't ready. They just want to keep going till the very like what else will they do? It's their identity.
yeah. Can become that. So
Yeah, for some of them it actually is, and they've got to be ready to pass that on to someone else. And if they're not, then we won't push.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair, because I think you're selling to the non-converted. It's like if it's in any business, if you're talking to a leader or a client and they're not the right fit, and you can see that they're questioning everything. It's sometimes they're pushing doesn't get you anywhere. If anything, it propels them further. So, so the pushing component can be a bit of a struggle, especially in this space. Because I think when it's identity attached, yeah, they need to be willing to let go. Otherwise, if you really got no hope, I would imagine getting through. Yeah. Yeah. What do you find are the critical things when people are looking to sell? What do you find is most important that might surprise people out there that are listening? It's not about dollars and cents, or is it? What is it that you see? The top three. Let's go top three, because you can't. Yeah.
Top three. I think the very first one, for the people that really care about who they're selling their business to, is do I really want to sell to this person that I'm talking to? So I think personality, rapport, all of that stuff is quite important. The second thing is, have you got the right sort of values? Because if you step into this business and I don't think you have the right sort of values and it doesn't match the culture, then so many people will leave. And then where would the revenue be?
Yeah, and that causes all sorts of disruption. Yeah, and building again from a rocky base, it's not fun.
Yeah. So they look at the person. Who do I want to sell to? Do I really want to sell to this person? And secondly, if I do sell to this person, are they going to drive the vision of the business that I would have loved to do if I was 20 years younger? So we do ask the question to the owners that are considering selling to us, what do you actually, if you were 20 years younger, what would you want to do? If you had and money wasn't an issue, what would you want to do? And that helps us, gives us ideas for later. It gives us some things that we can talk.
Because then, oh yeah, that's a good point. Because that will set you up to, okay, this is where you could take the business with a bit more rigor and energy behind it. Because at that point, they probably just had enough, potentially fed up, time to retire, or just want to go on to some shiny new object. Because that's maybe another reason why people sell.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it might be a tech startup that they're interested in.
Interesting. Classic. Finding businesses to buy. So startup ideas, we all have an idea, right? Everyone you speak to, not I wouldn't say everyone, but if you're a certain type of thinker, if you're more creative, if you've seen opportunity, you'll come up with different concepts and ideas that may make some sense. But if I was to go down the acquisition route, finding a business to buy, what do? Open up businessbuys.com or
Yeah, that's what most people do. That's how I started initially, until we realized that there's a better way using AI and a team to automate. So
yeah, nice one.
yeah, so again, that's where WT acquisitions came in. We initially, when we went, oh right, we can buy businesses. We know that if we get the right ones, it's gonna change our lives for us and for our kids and our kids' kids. So that's the whole reason why we're doing this. And then on top of that, we want to be able to help other people because I think slowly there is people starting to realize in the corporate world, is there more to this? And that might be the thing that I should be doing, either the tech startup or buying businesses to help cash flow or to fund the startup, tech startup, for example. So what we did is we offer people like a deal. So we call it deal flow, but basically it's businesses for sale, lists of businesses for sale that fit their criteria. So initially most people come in and they get from a stage of, I don't really know what I want. I just want to buy a business that makes money, right?
Okay, so they're just in, let's buy something that's making money.
There. And then we ask them a couple of questions during that first strategy session. We ask them a few questions, what do you do? What do you love? Blah, 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 and all those questions. And they start to realize that even if they came in with one industry that they're interested in because that's all they know, they start to walk away going, oh, I could actually buy there, 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 there. And then some people go, oh, I want to get it in some Sydney. I want it in Sydney.
Oh, so location based is.
And then we say, why? And they say, because that's where I live. And then we say, are you buying a job? You're leaving a job to buy a job? And then they're like, oh. So then their minds open by the end of it going, I can actually buy a business I don't need to run.
I think most people would be stuck with that. Yeah, because not many people jump into the investor quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki. The investor quadrant is not seen by many. Let's put it bluntly. A lot of people can end up in the job quite easily. The business one, it's tough to hit. No, it can be tough. I think it's a mindset thing, like you said. And I think the more you get ingrained in operating, the harder it is to get out. That's what I've noticed. It's like, and that's where you got to take the hats off. And over the past few years, I've been taking more and more hats off and finding it challenging. It's like, how do I let go of this one? Yeah, so
this one's glued on.
Yeah, there's a bit of glue sometimes. It just does not come off. I think people can get in that place, and I've been there before, and just how do you separate, really get yourself completely out of it from a strategy, from a decision making perspective. That's what an investment is really. It's if you're buying businesses, like we said at the beginning, there's no other way. You can't be operating them all.
Yes,
Yes.
true.
So it's a really good point. So location could be a way to probably. How do people feel when you write? Is it lifting of the shoulders or creating anxiety? What does it do?
When
Everyone's
we go
different.
through this,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
are, yeah, they, for the ones that, well, I talked to some today and yesterday. They felt, what's that word where they're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Because they just assumed that it has to be in a location where they live in. And they said, but when you mentioned that you're looking at one interstate and that you can hire someone to work in there based using the profits off the back of that business, then it just opens their mind. Light bulb moment, I think. And they said, okay, so tell me more. How do I do this? And that's where we come in. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Now, if someone's on that journey, I imagine there's a bit of, yeah, like you said, unpacking, asking good questions, building out a bit of a strategy for them. Like anything, right? We need to maybe have a criteria, and every person's different. What are they acquiring? What's going to meet their goals, objectives? Because someone might have specific different goals and objectives than others, which might impact what you actually buy, I'm assuming. But could be wrong, but I'd love to hear how you unpack and qualify and build a bit of a criteria to, should I say yes to this or should I say no? Because we need to, it's easy to, for me, when it comes to shiny object stuff, it's the saying no is the harder. Jumping in is the easy part. That's what I find. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on every person that you talk to. How they answer the last question is it helps you with your next question in terms of going, well, okay, if you're saying this, then what would you be interested in the next part? And then they'll just guide you through, and then both of you are going on a journey to understand what is the most exciting or interesting industry, location, the type of revenue and the profit that you're looking for. We still guide people because most people have never been asked, when you buy a business, what profit margin do you want? They're like, I don't know. I just want to have, yeah, what's good? I just want to have money at the end of the day and more than what property might give or what shares might give. I just want that. So yeah, it's all different for everyone. For some people, when you talk about, they do ask us and I hesitate to sometimes say the ones that we look at because they're quite big on the scheme of things in terms of businesses that we buy, are looking to buy. And when people first realize the journey of I can buy businesses, and telling them where we're at is a bit too scary, I think, for some people, where the type of businesses and turnover and so on that we look at. But the reason we can help people is because we've looked at so many deals at that level, smaller levels too. When we started, we looked at smaller turnover businesses. But if you can handle the small, medium-sized businesses, you can work on the smaller ones. But we don't recommend some of the smaller ones because if, for example,
What's small? Put some context so people can relate.
if someone goes, I wanna quit my job and live off passive income, right? If the turnover in the business is, I always go with the 1 million, but I'll go with 500,000. So if the revenue is 500,000, and hypothetically the profit margin is 20%, right?
100 grand.
What's that? That's only 100 grand.
It's
So
100 grand. Today you can't live off 100 grand.
you can't hire someone so that.
Yeah, no, there's no room. So you work.
Otherwise, you got to step in a little bit, help a little bit here and there until it grows. Marketing, sales, all of that stuff. Maybe AI.
Is it the bottom line that impacts the purchase rather than anything else? So bottom line is enough. Is it the profit component or what's left over at the end of the day that helps you make a better decision? What do you see there?
Yeah.
And there could be room, right, if the core founder or owner is still working in the business, but not in everything, wearing too many hats. You could take, obviously, his wage off, put someone else, his or her wage off, put someone else into that seat, which then doesn't maybe touch the bottom line, but there will be impact, I'm sure. Yeah.
There will be, and there are a lot of businesses when you do start looking at businesses for sale. There are a lot of businesses where the owners say, "Oh, it's earning this much," but you ask them the question of, "Do you pay yourself?"
Oh, they probably say no or not much.
Yeah, they probably a lot of them say no, not that much, and then you start to look and go, okay, so what do you do in the business? And slowly you're like, oh, I don't do much, only 4 hours, and then you find out they do the invoicing, they sign off the quotes, or like just so many things that they do that payroll,
All those critical points
right?
as well, too, potentially, and then you're in trouble. Yeah, okay.
And then if to hire people, if you wanted to not be in the business, to hire people, they're really doing three people's jobs, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's
Yeah, I get
part-time,
it.
you have enough money to pay for that. So
Yeah, that's a
it's
very good
things like
point.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So a number that you recommend people target, size of business. What revenue numbers are we generally want to go work around?
Oh,
Is there something you
nah,
consider? No?
I'm, I think, well, what we say on WT acquisitions is we go a minimum of 1 million revenue, a minimum, because if you work on a rough kind of assumption of 20% profit margin, then at least you've got 200K.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, then you at least got 200K, then you can hire the person to replace the founder, for example. But that's just a guide. It's not every situation, every business is different. But a lot of people, if you go for the smaller businesses that are for sale, and you'll see a lot online, those ones, either be it hospitality or so on, they just want cash up front. They want 100% of the cash of the value that they want to sell for up front, and that's not where we play. We try and work with owners that are willing to structure that offer differently.
Are you a bit creative if you were looking to reduce your initial capital outlay as much as possible, right? Because in the end, there's a transaction has to occur some way. How do you make it work creatively? What are some of the creative ways? Because I've seen in acquisition space, and you've got the investment, but there's an ability to bring other investors on the journey as well. Of course, other capital to the table, and maybe not own 100% of this business, maybe own 70, 60, 80, whatever it is, a number. So that's definitely different creative options, I'm sure, that you can explore. For the world, if you compare this to startup, there's also creative ways to bring capital into startup. It's not just about I need an idea and an investor, because a lot of people get stuck in that space where it's investors going to solve all my problems. I've always been on the belief that the customer should be able to solve all your problems if you can figure that moment out. So one of our products that we own and operate, we started off the back of one core client who brought some capital into the product, owned no IP at the time. We owned all the IP. They were just buying a solution at a reduced rate for a longer period of time. So that was a way to start and get into a product. So that was our venture into owning a product that wasn't service. So there are different ways to slice and think creatively, because I think a lot of people just think, need the money. So can't buy a business, need the money. Can't start a business, need the capital. But that's just, you need to be resourceful in anything that you do, whether it be buying business and or starting business or startup or anything. It's how do you be a bit more resourceful? I think we've got to be a lot more creative in this space as well.
Exactly. If you look around at the really successful, wealthy people, a lot of them didn't use their own money to start up businesses.
Well, they can't have, especially these billionaires that are out there. How do
Exactly.
you use your own money to create $1 billion of equity or billions? It's nigh impossible. You got to think logically, right? Yeah. If you're working a job and you've got a couple $100,000 maybe saved up, how do you build a $1 billion business on your own?
Yeah.
Think about that logically. Yeah. No, it's impossible.
Listening at the moment, and they're like, but how? How do I do this? I think they should reach out, just ask people.
Yeah,
Ask people in the know.
have conversations. Yeah, for sure. And on that note, if someone wants to buy a business, 'cause from your end, what are the three things they should consider before stepping into this space? What should they look
Okay.
at?
This is what's, I don't know if the right word's controversial, but
It's okay. I like controversial.
this is so buying businesses is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
it's definitely,
What is
so
it?
there's
What is
three
it?
things that someone that wants to buy businesses needs to know. The first one is you need to be patient. Looking at the first business for sale or even the first 20 is not going to get you there. If you're quite particular on the right type of businesses to buy. You can buy a business quickly, but it might be the wrong one. You'll buy a
Yeah.
problem. So that's
Buy a
one
problem.
thing. The second thing is you need to be resilient. You could go all the way through to something like due diligence. So you give them the offer and they say, yep, and I'll pay you this way over this much time and so on. And then you go into something called due diligence and you end up paying money to get accountants to look at the finances, the lawyers to look at the legal, the contracts and so on. And that could be a lot of money depending on how big the deal is.
Can add up. I'm definitely sure.
Yeah. And then the last thing is a willingness to learn. Willingness to learn. So you might be looking at different industries that you've never looked at before, but the numbers work. It's a profitable business. It's got cash flow. It's been established. It's got all this opportunity. You've got strategic investors per se. You as you go through, you learn different ways of doing deals. You learn different legal things that you need to keep in mind for different states. There are different rules in different states around how to buy.
Okay. So if you're jumping states, just beware. Yeah, okay.
So a willingness to learn. That's the third most important thing. That the buying businesses is not for everyone, but when you do buy the right business, it's worth it.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll relate that to startup and play that startup hat. So starting a business is not for everyone. You have to be patient. And I think it's related. It's exactly the same. You have to be patient. Your first idea is not going to be the idea that actually delivers the outcome. Your first concept or whatever you design, think is really not going to be what's going to be delivered at the other end and deliver value. I've seen many people start with this idea and pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot. The resilience comes in, you're going to get pushed back. It's the same thing, same thing, different scenarios. I'd imagine you're going to get pushed back. You're going to get customers that just don't buy because of X, or the customer said they'd buy if you had this, then you show this, and then they don't buy still. So yeah, maybe you didn't ask the right questions at the time. So then you're going to learn. You have to have a willingness to learn. So I think they play very similar. They're just two very different paths, with probably two very different outcomes. And I'd say if you want to be the captain of the ship, this is how to relate it. The startup is maybe a better place for you to play. If you want to be the captain of buying a business, you're buying a job. It's different. But if you want to be that's probably the way I'd frame it. So unless you're buying multiple and being the captain from an investor perspective, if you're just buying one, it's probably not that space. I think your startup could work well for you if you want to own it, control it, make all the decisions, want to be a part of the strategy and really want to sink your teeth into it. I think startup is going to be a place for you to play. Not to say you can't do both, but that's how I would frame the two differences for me. But love to hear your thoughts before we wrap it up.
Oh, I think what you've mentioned is so true, and I guess overarching across all of this is there are probably people listening to this podcast, and if they got up to this stage, then good on you because it really interested. But I think the most important thing is you have an idea. It's just an idea until you take action. Just do something. Don't come up with excuses saying I can't do this. I don't have the money. Blah, blah, blah. Just take
One step at a
action.
time. Just take
Yeah.
one baby step, and it's sometimes overwhelming in the steps and just anything that we do. But I find the best thing is to write a list. Just write a basic list. What are the first steps? What's the first thing I need to do today, tomorrow, next day? And you eventually to make gradual. And then momentum's a beautiful one and wonderful thing. It keeps us moving for months and years, and in my case, 18 years and still going. It's still learning, and it's not where I expect it to be in any means. And I think the path takes you in a certain place, and as we go through a journey, you learn, you grow, and being in this world, it's probably the best personal development thing you can ever do, whether it be whichever place. But it's learning, right? We're always going to evolve, grow, and we have to become a different version of ourselves to really push the status quo and change anything. But yes, starts with one action. Brilliant, Olivia. If anyone wants to learn about WT acquisitions, wants to reach out, have a chat, maybe inspired from today's, to try, maybe the acquisition path might be the one for me. I prefer owning 3 or 4 businesses potentially. That will be a nice cash flow opportunity and set my family up with asset buying. Think of it as properties, right? We don't really have to be in the property and maintain them and go and paint them. It's got to think that way around a business sometimes. How do they reach out? Where's the best place to connect?
So wtacquisitions.com, you can find us online. And for the investors, wtinvestments.com.au.
Perfect, Olivia. Thank you for joining
No
us
worries.
today. It's been a lot of fun, a bit of a crave chat around the differences between startup and acquisitions, and hope everyone got some enjoyment out of that. Thanks again.
Thanks, Andrew.